Hi.
Hello, hello. How are you guys doing?
Very good. How are you?
Oh,
Hi,
very good, thank
Nidhi.
you. Hello. You all look so fabulous with your pink backgrounds. I'm surprised.
Thanks to you. You gave it to us that time, right?
That was our marketing team. They did a very good job. I know the US are using it as well.
Okay. I see. Actually, the US calls, they happen at around 5:30 our time.
Oh,
It
so you
becomes,
can invariably join them.
no, it becomes very difficult for us to attend those webinars.
Oh, sorry, 5:30 in the morning. Yeah, that's
5:30 is pretty early. Yeah.
that's a bit much.
Uh,
Do you have quite a few different time zones?
no, we have only one time zone in
Only
India.
one. Okay. Because I Googled it and then I wasn't sure if it was like just for certain regions or not. That's nice. Then you can just plan accordingly with everyone, can't you?
Yeah, yeah. Though there is a part of India which is the northeastern part, so they have a actually they're ahead of us. So, you know, at least about an hour's difference, but somehow the Indian government has been following just one time zone.
I like it. Same as New Zealand. We also only one.
Yeah. Yeah. So we what we'll do is maybe we'll ask in case they need translation. In case they do, then Neha will do the translation, right, Neha? You're okay with that?
Yes, sure. Yes, sure. I was on mute.
No worries. So, and product part, yeah, because your products are different than ours. So
Yeah.
you can handle
So
that.
I just sent through, I was going to create something, but because we can't really include products in this because we're talking about osteoporosis and clinical conditions and that sort of thing. So we, as you said, it's the same as Australia, New Zealand, and the US. We can't correlate any sort of disease type condition with a supplementation
Right.
regime. So Neha, if you like, I mean, the product training that I sent through, that's you can totally utilize that, just slot in your products to kind of suit. I mean, obviously some I know you don't have, but I chop and change, like what I do for US isn't the same as what I do for Australia and New Zealand. And yeah, it all kind of marries up, but it's got the same sort of theme.
Sure, sure.
Um,
Yeah.
Maybe if we look at it, just a minute. That's your product. Yeah. I mean, just for you to know, we do have, what are the products? Yeah. So instead of Cell Essentials, I'll just quickly share this for your reference, your presentation, of course. Yeah, yeah. So we don't have Cell Essentials, but what we have is, we call it Core Essentials. It's just one
got
bottle. Yeah. Then Magnecal, yes, we do. Same as
that one.
the
Yeah.
one. We don't have vitamin D.
Okay. But you've got it in
Histopro,
Magna, so that's
yeah,
fabulous.
Histopro we're launching towards the year end.
Oh yes, that's right. Okay, so when has that been pushed out a bit, has it?
Yeah, we've been talking about it in our events. So that's towards the year end we will have Histopro.
Oh, it's a great
You
product, that one.
can
Is it the
give a
same?
mention on this. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, fabulous. Is it the same ingredients, do you think?
No, no.
No.
Actually, the global formulation is using red clover, but
Yeah.
we're not going to be using, we don't, that's not allowed in India.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we're using something that's called saffron. I don't know if you've heard of.
Saffron. Fabulous.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a really great adaptogen. Yeah.
So we're going to be using saffron. It's a trademark ingredient that's called saffron. It's a more concentrated form of saffron and that we will end up using. Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Vitamin K2 also we don't have.
Well, we don't have that in Australia, New
So
Zealand.
I've modified the presentation. Like I've added core essentials, magnicality. I've shared it with you, Debbie.
Oh, thank you. Awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you.
And so I've
So,
maybe
Neha,
Gunjan, I'll talk
perhaps
about core essentials, magnicality. I've also added biomega and Procosa for joints. So those,
Okay.
just forward that presentation to you. I think 1 hour before.
oh, brilliant. I'm so sorry, I haven't been on Teams. I'll have a look in a bit.
No problem.
So are you going to do that training? Are you going to do that training like another day, or what are you doing with that?
Sorry, sorry, I didn't
No,
get.
That's okay. I was just asking, so the training that you've created with your supplements, are you going to do like on another day, or what were you thinking?
As you say, if you want to go ahead with your first presentation, and if there is some time left, we can talk about the products, which is like with
It's just you can't correlate them with
yeah.
everything.
Yes, we can definitely we can correlate them. Once you finish your presentation, I'll talk about the Indian products. In case we have time, we can correlate that. In between, you want me to correlate the supplements? No?
Yeah. So sorry, Neha. No, from a regulatory standpoint, you can't talk about supplements. You can't talk about USANA when you're talking about things like osteoporosis and things like that. So it actually has to be a separate training. We can't
Okay.
do
All right.
USANA supplements
All
tonight as
right.
well.
All right.
It's
All
the
right.
same. Yeah, it's the same with the US and same for Australia and New Zealand, which is so
Sure.
unfortunate. But it just can't be on the same training,
All right.
especially for guests and customers and all
Sure.
that sort
So
of thing.
I do take separate product training, so I do talk about these. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. So then, and I mean, it's a really good idea. And I mean, I'll chat about it and you can chat about it and kind of say, and for those who are looking for micronutrients, specifically supplementation, we'll do a training at this time,
Yeah. Yeah.
to
Sure.
correlate with that. I would love to be able to do it in alignment, in conjunction with, but because supplementation has to stay as a supplement, it can't fix a health or a medical issue. We can't see it to say it fixes a medical issue in that sense. Yeah.
Sure.
Looks like we've already started the webinar. Neha, started the. Oh God, I thought we were in a practice session, but looks like we've started the webinar already. Never mind. What I'll do is I'll share some music.
Should I
Yeah,
put the opening slide on as well? Should I do that?
but no, I mean, we just have some videos that I'll play because the webinar has already started. Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah. I just saw so many attendees, so I thought we were in a practice session, but that's fine.
Me too. It's excitement. It's great.
Hi Neha, hi Gunjan ma'am, hi Debbie, good morning. So we are having morning over here.
Hi, Achana.
It's definitely getting darker on this side of the world.
5:30 for you, right?
It is.
My presentation ain't opening up. Achal, do you have some videos to play if you can do that?
Sure.
Angela, are you opening up some music?
One of my presentation is also not working. Just my videos are lined up. So just give me 1 minute. I'm
It
fixing.
was me. It's not opening up for me somehow. I think it opened up. Maybe I can share. Yeah, probably. I can share.
Not many years ago, there was a man who felt fire in his soul. And through one man's vision, we feel the difference. Deep in us. Haven't you heard? We dream of a place for all human race to be healthy and happy for life. The future's upon us. Year after year we grew, going forth with the power of two. Person at a time, and it's waiting for you. And there's nothing we can't do. We are USANA. We're changing the world. We live life and love it. Haven't you heard? We dream of a place for all human race to be healthy and happy for life. The future's upon us. We are USANA. Nation to nation we go, making the whole world our home. Now together we're standing, one big family, united and strong. We are USANA. We're changing the world. We live life and love it. Haven't you heard? We are USANA. We're changing the world. We live life and love it. Haven't you heard? We
Big things have small beginnings. 30 years ago, USANA began with one man's vision for a world with optimal cellular health. Since then, the mission to create the world's healthiest family has thrived, spreading from cell to cell, family to family, and nation to nation. USANA has now launched in India, a leader in the world known for its rich culture, tight-knit communities, and strong family values. This union connects us to a company celebrated for its scientific innovations, clear purpose and quality, opening a world of vast potential and opportunity. With USANA's arrival into India, now you have the chance to unlock significant achievements from small beginnings. USANA, welcome to India. India, welcome to USANA.
All right, very good morning everyone. कैसे हैं आप सब लोग? Good morning. I don't know if it's raining in your places. आज दिल्ली में तो बहुत ज़्यादा बारिश हो रही है और मतलब roads are like just getting flooded. So, but good to have you all join in the morning. हमारे ज़्यादातर sessions जो हैं evening में होते हैं शाम को 6 बजे और आज का session सुबह हमने रखा है because you know our very special guest. She's all the way from yes, that's right, Rohit sir. आज सुबह सुबह earthquake भी experience किया. पता नहीं किस किसने experience किया, but yeah, Debbie, we had a earthquake also. The severe. I mean, we all felt it in the morning. Yeah. So, thank you so much for joining in at this point of time in early morning because जो हमारा women health का focus है and the series that we are continuing on women health, you know, it will continue throughout the year. You will get to hear a lot from us, a lot from all our experts. Debbie was with us on 1st of April, if I remember well, and जिसमें आपके insights और ज़्यादा बढ़ेंगे and you'll get to know. And you know what? If I have to talk about Debbie, she is one person जिनसे मैं मिली थी in 2023 when you know there was the news about India launching in Korea. It was the Asia Pacific convention at that time, and we were totally impressed with the kind of aura that she brings about. You know what? उन्होंने 2018 में न्यूजीलैंड में as business manager join किया था. And then, of course, with all her impactful initiatives, recently now she's become a regional training and business director for America as well as for New Zealand. अगर मैं उनकी health journey की बात करूं, तो she's a holistic health practitioner. She has learned naturopathy, rehabilitation, Pilates, strength training as a personal trainer. So she's one of those who's actually obsessed with health. And of course, she is empowering all of us to achieve it on an everyday basis. But अगर आपको कुछ भी translation वगैरह चाहिए, तो आप जरूर chat में लिखिएगा. We are all here. हम आपके लिए translate भी कर देंगे. And Debbie, I want to ask you, you'll share the screen or
Yep.
you'll share the screen, yeah. Perfect. So in case you need translation, Debbie is very flexible. अगर हिंदी में translation चाहिए, तो please बता दीजिएगा. We'll keep monitoring the chat anyways. And I'll now hand over to Debbie to take us forward. Yeah.
Fabulous, Gunjan. Thank you so much for that. That was such a lovely intro. And you're exactly right. I absolutely love everything to do with health and well-being. I am a little bit obsessed. And I suppose, you know what, it started because of my love for exercise and my love for wanting to help others that I got into this industry. And it was one of my textbooks where it was called the Comparative Guide. I'm not too sure if you guys have seen the Comparative Guide, but it's Lyle McWilliams, and he compares health supplements throughout the world. And he compares the different ranges that you've got in every country. And I saw USANA in the Comparative Guide, and it was top of the pops. It was best of the best. And I realized that this was a company I had to work for. I had to try the supplements, obviously, as well. And so that was, I was lecturing in health science. I was studying to be a naturopath. And so now I'm registered as a naturopath, herbal medicine, as well as health science. And as Gunjan said, it's all about the physical side of things. So I'm a physical educator as well. And when it comes to health, I think today's topic is so very important. I will try not to speak too fast. So I see someone is asking to improve sound quality. Am I soft? I can get close to the screen. But if you would like translation, Neha, do you want to translate in between, or what works best?
As of now, nobody has requested for translation, so we're good.
Okay, we're good.
Thumbs
Just
up,
go
we
for it. You can hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear
Okay.
you.
Fabulous. Okay. Well, today's topic, unbreakable bones, define time with a body that thrives, is such a very important and relevant one, especially for us women as we're getting older. If you have a look at these statistics, you'll see that 1 in 2 women aged 50, unfortunately 50 and older, will break a bone. And that's very different to 1 in 5 men aged 50 and older will break a bone. So when you consider those stats, it is something that's very important for each and every one of us to understand. Guys as well, 1 in 5 is still a very relevant fact. But we need to make that kind of a priority in our understanding, in our education, in our day-to-day, to ensure that we have a good, valid range of knowledge to support our health going forward, but not only ours, supporting your friends, your family, your customers, your neighbors, because broken bones, and I'm going to go through this over the course of today, you'll see that so many impacts can happen in not only your life and your kind of abilities to function day to day, but also things we can do to improve that. So have a look at this. We're going to be looking at bones and how they're constantly remodeling. So often people don't even realize that bones are living, breathing, and needing to remodel. Now, your peak bone mass is actually reached in your 20s. So when you're 20, you have the beautiful, vibrant, remodeled bone that we all want. However, before 30, bone formation generally exceeds and then starts to break down from there. Okay, so after age 30, the decline happens. And we know this is a case as a result of declining estrogen levels, which we're going to talk of because it's all things perimenopause. Now, here's a stat.
May I interrupt? We've now got it on the chat.
Oh, yes, of course.
So Neha, maybe, you speak 2-3 sentences and then Neha translates that into.
Sounds good. Not a problem.
Sure.
Thank you. Yeah.
Do you want to go ahead from here, Neha, or?
Maybe, Debbie, you just complete the slide. After you, I'll do it. And maybe from the next slide, 2-3 sentences, and then I'll translate.
Not a problem. So in India, it's estimated that 61 million people have osteoporosis, which is a very dramatic percentage of the population. And when we consider that after the age of 30, bone density does naturally decline, that 61% is a notable fact that we need to take into account.
Right. Hello everyone. So Debbie बात कर रही हैं bone health की. So ये statistics हैं basically. ये facts हैं. अगर आप देखेंगे कि जो bones है हमारी, वो constant remodeling मतलब बन रही हैं, थोड़ा सा break भी हो रही हैं. Bone cells are constantly मतलब वो change होते रहते हैं. जब हम जो पीक बोन मास मतलब जो बोन की मैक्सिमम डेंसिटी है, मैक्सिमम मास है, वो हमारे 20s में पहुंच जाता है. एंड बिफोर 30 जो है जनरली जो है बोन फॉर्मेशन जो है वो एक्सीड्स बोन ब्रेकडाउन. मतलब 30 से पहले जो बोन फॉर्मेशन है वो अपनी फुल स्विंग में होता है, राइट? और बोन डेंसिटी जो है वो इंक्रीज होती है. बट आफ्टर 30 ग्रेजुअली जो है बोन डेंसिटी वो डिक्रीज करने लगती है, राइट? डेंसिटी मतलब आपकी बोन जो है बहुत सारे मिनरल से बनी होती है, कैल्शियम, मैग्नीशियम, फास्फोरस. जितने ज्यादा मिनरल्स होंगे उतने ज्यादा बोन डेंस होगी, राइट? सो ग्रेजुअली आफ्टर एज 30, स्पेसिफिकली फॉर वुमेन, ये डेंसिटी, अमाउंट ऑफ मिनरल्स जो है बोन से, वो ग्रेजुअली डिक्रीज करते चले जाते हैं। और इंडिया में एस्टिमेटेड है कि 61 मिलियन पीपल, मतलब जो है 61, इट्स अ ह्यूज नंबर, बहुत बड़ा नंबर है, ऑस्टियोपोरोसिस से लोग सफर कर रहे हैं। और 80% ऑफ दिस 61 मिलियन पीपल, उसमें से विमेन हैं। यस, वी कैन
That was
कंटिन्यू।
it. Okay, so have a look at this. Now, when we're talking about normal bone, it is dense and strong. So that's what you can see on the left-hand side. While osteoporotic bone is weaker, it's invariably more porous. It is quite visibly porous in contrast to the dense kind of structure. This difference makes osteoporotic bone hugely more susceptible to fractures. So
Right.
we want that dense and strong. Normal bone has a really high mineral content, which gives strength and the ability to withstand stress. So we don't have any fractures. But it's actually called honeycomb. So that honeycomb structure, internally bony, the bone is what we need. But you can see as it slowly moves into more of an osteoporotic structure, the density is not there anymore. And that's when a fracture could occur.
राइट। तो डेबी कह रही हैं कि जो नॉर्मल, अगर आप लेफ्ट हैंड साइड की पिक्चर देखेंगे तो ये बोन का एक माइक्रोस्कोपिक व्यू है, जहाँ पे दिखाया है कि वो काफी डेंस है। और ऑस्टियोपोरोटिक अगर आप बोन देखेंगे, जो राइट हैंड साइड पिक्चर है, वो काफी उसमें मिनरल कंटेंट, डेंसिटी उसकी कम हो गई है, इट्स मोर पोरस। जैसे ही, जैसे मैंने आपको बताया कि बहुत सारे मिनरल्स होते हैं हमारे बोन्स में, जैसे जैसे वो कम होते जाते हैं तो उसकी डेंसिटी कम होती जाती है। अगर डेंसिटी कम होगी तो हमारे बोन्स बहुत प्रोन हो जाएंगे टू फ्रैक्चर्स। बहुत जल्दी जरा सा इम्पैक्ट होगा तो हमें हेयरलाइन फ्रैक्चर होने के बहुत ज्यादा चांसेस होते हैं। अगर बहुत ज्यादा डेंसिटी कम है तो ज्यादा, जरा से भी इम्पैक्ट में हमें फ्रैक्चर्स हो सकते हैं। सो ये हनी कोम्ब, जैसे आपने हनी का वो देखा है, कोम्ब, हनी का जो बनता है, वेब होता है, वैसे ही जितना ज्यादा डेंस है उतना अच्छा नॉर्मल बोन है, जितनी डेंसिटी कम होती जाती है उतनी ही ऑस्टियोपोरोटिक बोन होती चली जाती है।
Beautiful.
Yes, Devi, you can continue.
And that honeycomb structure really provides the strength and support. So I'm going to just tell you a little bit about bone. Now, I know this is a little bit scientific, but I think for us to have an understanding of your bone and the bone health, it will help you understand why your nutrition and your exercise and your lifestyle is so very important as well. So first off, I'll just get you to look at this slide, because what it's talking about is the remodeling of your bones. And like I said before, your bone is a living, breathing cell tissue. And what's happening is the bone cells are building up continuously. So it's called remodeling. And the remodeling is taking place by something called osteoblasts. So osteo being bone and blast means to build new bone cells. And then osteoclast, so once again, bone, and clast means to break down and remove the kind of dying and dead bone cells. So this remodeling is taking place and creating that honeycomb structure for strength all the time.
या सो ये जो अगर आप देख रहे हैं, बोन्स हमारे बहुत सारे सेल्स से बने होते हैं। बोन जो है एक लिविंग स्ट्रक्चर है, ब्रीदिंग स्ट्रक्चर है, जो कॉन्टिन्यूअस फॉर्म हो रहा है, और विद न्यूट्रिशन डेफिशिएंसी वो डिक्रीज भी हो रहे हैं बोन डेंसिटी। सो अगर आप ये ऑस्टियोब्लास्ट देखेंगे, ये एक टाइप ऑफ बोन सेल है। ऑस्टियो मतलब बोन, ब्लास्ट मीन्स फॉर्मेशन। सो ऑस्टियोब्लास्ट आर रिस्पॉन्सिबल, वो रिस्पॉन्सिबल होते हैं बोन बनाने के लिए। और ऑस्टियोक्लास्ट ऐसे सेल्स होते हैं जो बोन को डिमिनिश, उसको डिस्ट्रॉय करे बेसिकली। ऑस्टियो मीन्स बोन, और क्लास मतलब उसका डिस्ट्रक्शन या रिजॉर्प्शन बेसिकली। सो इट इज कंटिन्यूअसली फॉर्मिंग, रीमॉडलिंग हो रही है बोन की कंटिन्यूअसली थ्रू आउट आवर लाइफ। यस डेबी।
I'm learning a lot myself. So I suppose the one thing though as we age, this balance moves kind of in a negative direction. So resulting in kind of more osteoclast activity, so more bone reabsorption than bone formation. So more osteoclast breaking down and less osteoblasts building up. And this combination of bone mass kind of deficiency and obviously reduction in strength leads to osteoporosis and unfortunately the more risk of fractures.
राइट सो जैसे जैसे हम एज करते हैं सो जो ऑस्टियोक्लास्ट की एक्टिविटी है वो बढ़ती चली जाती है, मतलब बोन का ब्रेक डाउन होता चला जाता है। जैसे ही बोन की डेंसिटी या बोन ब्रेक डाउन होगा सो हमारी स्ट्रेंथ पे भी इम्पैक्ट आएगा, राइट। हमारी बोन स्ट्रेंथ डिक्रीज करेगी, इसीलिए कहते हैं कि बहुत राइट एज पे न्यूट्रिशन को लेना, उस ऑस्टियोक्लास्ट की एक्टिविटी को डिले करना, कम करना इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, ताकि हमारी बोन की जो फॉर्मेशन है या जो मेंटेनेंस है वो बनी रहे और जो ब्रेक डाउन है उससे हम बच सकें।
Awesome. Now,
Yes.
one thing about health, well-being, about life is we're always learning. And one thing I love about being director of training for USANA is that I get to learn myself continuously, and then I get to share that with you. And I think that's the most important thing to always remember. We're never too old. We can always learn new content, new information. And that's why I love, and this is one of my, it might start straight away, so I haven't changed the slide, but one of my favorite, or actually I have many favorite podcasters that I watch, but this lady, her name is Dr. Mary Claire Haver, and she is a specialist in women's health and specifically speaks about bone health. Oh, it didn't go over straight away.
Breaking news for menopausal women. This article recently published looks at treatment.
I'm so sorry. I just realized I haven't shared my sound. I will do that quickly. Sorry, 1 second. Okay. There we go.
Breaking news for menopausal women. This article recently published looks at treatment rates and healthcare cost of patients with fragility fracture, also known as osteoporotic fractures. They looked at over 108,000 patients. Average age was 68.8. The cost to the Medicare system of fragility fractures is staggering, about $22 billion, and is more costly than breast cancer, heart attacks, and stroke. And this number is expected to escalate to more than $95 billion by 2040 because we are an aging population. About 26% of patients had a second or subsequent fragility fracture after their first, but the diagnosis of osteoporosis is actually very low. Not because they don't have it, because it's being missed. Osteoporosis is much more prevalent in females versus males. This is due to our loss of estrogen through the menopause transition. Osteoporosis is not inevitable and can be prevented. Menopause hormone therapy can decrease the rate of osteoporotic fracture by up to 30%. Now, when I discuss osteoporosis prevention strategies with my patients, menopause hormone therapy is one of the tools in our toolkit, but we also talk about collagen supplementation, adequate protein intake, and consistent resistance training, a weighted vest, and vibratory training as well. We can keep our bones strong as we age, and fracture is not an inevitability for most of us, but we do have to work really hard at it.
So when I talk about education, take advantage of the incredible podcast doctors out there. Dr. Mary Claire Haver is a board certified OB-GYN, and as well as that, she's certified on the medicine provider of women's health for the US, Canada, as well as Europe. So she's really, really an expert in the field. I'm so sorry, Neha. I realize we've done a whole lot there. Do you need to?
Sure. I'll give a gist of what all is said in this video. And so basically, ये डॉक्टर मैरी क्लेयर हैं और ये एमडी हैं, ये स्पेशलिस्ट हैं विमेन हेल्थ में, विमेन बोन यूएसए में। एंड ये इनका वीडियो है जो ऑस्टियोपोरोसिस और मीनोपॉज के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं, स्ट्रॉन्ग बोन्स की। जो हम इनिशियली क्या होता है कि हम ऑस्टियोपोरोसिस का डायग्नोसिस हम नहीं, इतना इम्पोर्टेंस नहीं देते। इवन इन इंडिया अगर आप देखेंगे तो हम फुल बॉडी चेकअप्स तो कराते हैं, लेकिन जब हम ऑस्टियोपोरोसिस या बोन की बात आती है तो हम कितने लोग ऐसे हैं जो एक्चुअली बोन डेंसिटी को चेक करा रहे हैं। देयर इज स्कैन्स, डेक्सा स्कैन्स होते हैं जो बोन डेंसिटी को चेक करते हैं, लेकिन हम थर्टीज में बॉदर ही नहीं करते हैं, राइट? हमें लगता है कि जब हम फिफ्टीज में पहुंचेंगे, मे बी जब हमें बोन पेन होगा, जब हमें प्रॉब्लम स्टार्ट होगी, जब हमें सिम्टम्स बहुत सीवियर आएंगे, तब हम उसको चेकअप कराएंगे। लेकिन आई कैन टेल यू कि जो ऑस्टियोपोरोसिस का ट्रीटमेंट है, इवन डॉक्टर मैरी भी यही कह रही हैं कि जो उसका कॉस्ट है वो और जितने कॉम्प्लिकेटेड डिजीजेस है उससे कहीं ज्यादा है जब हम ऑस्टियोपोरोसिस को ट्रीट करने में आते हैं। आई हैव अ वेरी वेरी रीसेंट एग्जांपल आल्सो। मेरी मदर इन लॉ को ऑस्टियोपोरोसिस बहुत बाद में डायग्नोज हुआ, 70s में। पहले उन्होंने वर्क नहीं किया, बट द ट्रीटमेंट कॉस्ट वाज लाइक वेरी ह्यूज। एवरी मंथ उनको बहुत ही हजारों के इंजेक्शंस लगते थे, डेक्सा स्कैन्स होते थे। एंड बिकॉज वी रीच दैट स्टेट, हाँ, हम लोग ने उसको पहले डायग्नोज नहीं कराया। अगर हम ऑस्टियोपिनिया या अर्ली स्टेज में हम उसको डायग्नोज करा लेते तो शायद वो कॉस्ट इतनी ज्यादा नहीं होती। हम इनिशियली सप्लीमेंट्स, डाइट, एक्टिविटी, लाइफस्टाइल को मॉडिफाई करके हम उस स्टेज पे पहुंचते ही नहीं। सो दिस इज व्हाई अर्ली डायग्नोसिस, अर्ली जो हम अपनी स्ट्रेंथ, बोन स्ट्रेंथ पे काम करना इसीलिए बहुत जरूरी है। इट्स नॉट ओनली फॉर हेल्थ, ऑफ कोर्स इट इज हेल्थ, लेकिन उसकी कॉस्ट भी इतनी ह्यूज है कि इट बिकम्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट।
Was brilliant. And you're going to have to explain some of that story to me because it sounded like it was very insightful.
Yes, sure.
That's brilliant and exactly relevant because I think, as you said, early diagnosis, so important, having an understanding, also talking to others. And that's why I say education is so important, having that background, having that advice, whether it be from someone like yourself, Neha, or a friend, a family member, because everyone has been there or has advice to support each and every one of you. And I know Dr. Mary Claire Haver was talking about HRT and things like that. There is a wide range of support mechanisms in place when we are progressing through perimenopause and menopause. But I suppose the thing to always remember is it's about listening to your body. It's about learning, making sure you have the advice from the experts, but also thinking for yourself. What we need to really be clear on is making sure that we are meeting our body's needs, making sure we have the nutritionals in place, making sure we're filling those nutrition gaps. We know that there are subsequent gaps in our lifestyle, in our diets, in our health, and we can support our body's health by really focusing on that guidance and advice from experts.
Very true, Debbie.
So that is exactly why we have these trainings, to really break these myths. So if you have a look at the slide, once again, we can see the porous structure of what osteoporosis looks like. During and after menopause, women experience increased bone loss, primarily due to the decline in estrogen, as we know. And this leads to a higher risk in developing osteoporosis. So really, when we come down to it, estrogen plays a crucial role in maintaining bone density. We've all heard of estrogen, haven't we? We know it's like the nutritive hormone and it's part and parcel of all being woman. It's a fabulous hormone. We need it. It looks after our bodies. But as we get older, the bone formation and the bone reabsorption, that's what's impacted as a result of these decreasing estrogen levels. So it actually slows, depletes, and then reduces in time. Neha, over to you.
Yeah. सो ये स्लाइड आपको दिखा रही है कि एक लेफ्ट में नॉर्मल बोन है जो काफी डेंस है, पोरस नहीं है, छोटे छोटे इट्स वेरी डेंस। ऑस्टियोपोरोसिस की अगर आप बोन देखेंगे तो बहुत ही ज्यादा पोरस है, बहुत उसकी मिनरल क्वांटिटी जो है वो कम हो गई है। इट हैज बिकम ब्रिटल। जैसे जैसे सो फॉर स्पेसिफिकली विमेन की अगर हम बात करें तो जब हम मीनोपॉज की तरफ जा रहे हैं तो हमारे ग्रेजुअली एस्ट्रोजन लेवल्स डिक्लाइन करते हैं। और एस्ट्रोजन ऐसा हार्मोन है जो हमको एक्चुअली विमेन के लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रोल प्ले करता है, बिकॉज वो बहुत सारे हमारे ऑर्गन्स को फंक्शन करने में हेल्प करता है, एंड बोन इज वन ऑफ देम। सो जब एस्ट्रोजन लेवल्स कम होते हैं तो बोन का जो रिजॉर्प्शन है या डिक्लाइन है वो फॉर्मेशन ऑफ बोन से वो ज्यादा हो जाता है। जैसे पहले हमने बात की थी ऑस्टियोब्लास्ट एंड ऑस्टियोक्लास्ट, तो वैसे ही बोन का रिजॉर्प्शन मतलब बोन का डिक्लाइन, बोन का डिस्ट्रक्शन जो है उसका रेट बोन के फॉर्मेशन से बढ़ जाता है। और एस्ट्रोजन ऐसा हार्मोन है जो हमको एक्चुअली, चाहे वो हार्ट हेल्थ है, चाहे वो हमारा बोन है, ब्रेन है, एवरीथिंग, एस्ट्रोजन इज लाइक सुपर हार्मोन फॉर women। सो इसीलिए हमें बोन्स का ध्यान बहुत पहले से रखना है, वेदर इट्स लाइफ, न्यूट्रिशन, डायग्नोसिस, which is very important.
Fabulous, thank you. Okay, so on top of that, there are some other contributing factors that also can lead to osteoporosis. And so apart from estrogen, when it decreases, it also can cause inflammation in the body because, as I said, it's a nutritive hormone. It protects us. You know, we've got estrogen receptors like in our hair follicles, and hence, you know, we have this lovely, beautiful, luxurious flowing hair when we're young. And unfortunately, it thins as we get older because, you know, our estrogen levels are decreasing. However, estrogen deficiency can lead to increased inflammation. And then that can also stimulate the osteoclast, you know, the reabsorption part of the bone remodeling, so that activity increases. So the breakdown is heightening. Plus, on top of that, with the osteoclast activity increasing, we're getting more porous bone, we're getting more of a brittle bone structure, and then that leads to other impacts, as well as increasing our cortisol, which is a stress hormone, because we've got reduction in estrogen, increase in cortisol. So we're more stressed, and that has an impact on our sleep, on our energy levels, on our ability to exercise because we're not feeling like exercising. So it has this kind of almost downward spiral or vicious cycle that has an impact on our bone.
Right. So Debbie is saying कि अगर हमारा एस्ट्रोजन लेवल्स डिक्रीज करते हैं तो हमारे और भी हॉर्मोन्स अफेक्ट होने लगते हैं। हमारा कॉर्टिसोल जो जो स्ट्रेस हार्मोन जिसको हम कहते हैं, वो भी हमारी बॉडी में बढ़ जाता है। जब वो बढ़ता है, क्योंकि एस्ट्रोजन लेवल्स डिक्लाइन कर रहे हैं, एस्ट्रोजन बेसिकली एक सुपर हार्मोन है, अगर वो डिसबैलेंस हो रहा है तो हमारी बॉडी में जितना भी हार्मोन बैलेंस है वो बिगड़ने लगता है। और कॉर्टिसोल ऐसा हार्मोन है, अगर वो बढ़ेगा तो हमें स्ट्रेस, एंजाइटी, डिप्रेशन की तरफ हम जाएंगे। इवन एस्ट्रोजन जो है हमारे हेयर फॉलिकल्स, मतलब हमारी पूरी बॉडी में एस्ट्रोजन रिसेप्टर्स हैं, मतलब हर बॉडी, हर ऑर्गन में एस्ट्रोजन को रिसीव करने के लिए एक स्पेसिफिक रिसेप्टर्स होते हैं। अगर वो एस्ट्रोजन, प्रॉपर एस्ट्रोजन को रिसीव करते हैं तो वो ऑर्गन, वो फंक्शन बहुत अच्छे से होता है। जैसे जैसे एस्ट्रोजन डिक्लाइन करने लगता है, तो जैसे आपने देखा होगा कि जब हम यंग थे, 20s में थे, तो हमारी हेयर क्रॉप जो था वो बहुत ही फ्लफी, बहुत ही ज्यादा डेंस था। बट व्हेन वी एज 30s एंड स्पेशली आफ्टर प्रेगनेंसी, आफ्टर डिलीवरी, हमारा जो हेयर का थिकनेस है वो कम होने लगता है, क्योंकि इट्स एवरीथिंग लिंक्ड टू योर, फॉर स्पेशली फॉर वुमेन, एस्ट्रोजन से लिंक्ड है। एस्ट्रोजन कम है तो हमारा हेयर इम्पैक्ट होगा, हमारे ब्रेन लेवल्स, हमारे स्ट्रेस लेवल्स, एंजाइटी, इवन हार्ट हेल्थ भी इम्पैक्ट होने लगती है। सो ओवरऑल जो है, और बोन, डेफिनेटली बोन जो है बहुत ज्यादा पोरस होने लगती है, उसकी डेंसिटी कम कम होने लगती है। दैट इज व्हाई वी नीड टू वर्क अर्ली on our health, overall health.
Well said, exactly. And here you can see that outlined. It's a great graph just to really show you where bone growth starts, kind of peak bone mass, and then bone loss due to menopause. And so that is showing the kind of rise and fall of estrogen as well. Besides estrogen, obviously there are several other factors that can impact on this. And that can include, there are lower testosterone levels in men, inadequate calcium, vitamin D intake, which we're going to touch on in a bit, lack of physical activity. We're also going to talk about that because, as Dr. Claire Mary Haver highlighted, it's so very important. Now, other components that can also cause this bone loss as we move into menopause are things like smoking. You smoke, it's time to stop. Excessive alcohol consumption, as well as the long-term use of some medications.
राइट। तो अगर आप ये ग्राफ देखेंगे, जो हम अभी तक बात करते आए हैं कि हमारा बोन ग्रोथ मैक्सिमम 20s में होता है, और 30s और 40s के बाद अगर आप देखेंगे तो ये बोन धीरे धीरे, बोन जो डेंसिटी है वो कम होने लगती है। क्यों? अगर आप देखेंगे 30s 40s के बाद भी हमारा एस्ट्रोजन लेवल्स भी ग्रेजुअली डिक्लाइन कर रहे हैं, तो वही इम्पैक्ट हमारे बोन पे भी आ रहा है। सो इट्स ऑफ कोर्स, एस्ट्रोजन एक फैक्टर है, लेकिन बहुत अदर फैक्टर्स भी हैं, जैसे कि अगर स्मोकिंग, एक्सेस ऑफ अल्कोहल हम ले रहे हैं, हम प्रॉपर फिजिकल एक्टिविटी नहीं कर रहे हैं, अपने न्यूट्रिएंट लेवल्स को हम चेक नहीं करा रहे हैं और उसको सही लेवल पे नहीं लेके आ रहे हैं, तो ये बहुत सारे फैक्टर्स है जो डॉक्टर मैरी ने भी अपने वीडियो में कहा था। और ये कंबाइंड फैक्टर्स जो हैं वो हमारी बोन को, हमारी बोन डेंसिटी को, हमारी हेल्थ को इम्पैक्ट करने लगते हैं। यस, ओवर टू यू देवी।
Fabulous. And I suppose the other component is also things like, obviously, with those who struggle with diabetes, the increased, kind of imbalance of your insulin sensitivity can impact on your body's ability to remodel bone as well. Other conditions such as family history, if there is osteoporosis within your family, that is very relevant and needs to make sure that we're very aware of what we need to consider with our own health. Just like Dr. Claire Mary Haver highlighted, we can rectify this. There's also other scenarios like gastrointestinal issues. If your gut microbiome isn't healthy, there are components that will impact on your bone health as well. So, for instance, your body's ability to metabolize calcium is not going to be effectively utilized because your gut microbiome isn't helping you to absorb the nutrients from the food or the drink you're having. So we need to work on our health. We need to make sure we're supporting our bodies to ensure we're providing our nutrients and the requirements that we need to keep encouraging that bone remodeling.
राइट। सो जब हमारे कुछ और फैक्टर्स भी होते हैं जहाँ हमारी बोन डेंसिटी इम्पैक्ट होने लगती है, जैसे कि अगर किसी की हिस्ट्री में ऑस्टियोपोरोसिस है तो उनके चांसेस ज्यादा बढ़ जाते हैं, या फिर डायबिटीज जिनको है तो उनकी बॉडी में इंसुलिन रेजिस्टेंस बेसिकली जो है वो बहुत बढ़ जाता है। जब इंसुलिन रेजिस्टेंस मतलब हमारी बॉडी जो है हम इंसुलिन रिसीव नहीं कर पा रही है, राइट। अगर बॉडी में प्रोड्यूस तो हो रहा है लेकिन उसको इफेक्टिवली यूटिलाइज नहीं कर पा रही है, तो जब इंसुलिन बढ़ता है हमारी बॉडी में तो एस्ट्रोजन लेवल्स भी फ्लक्चुएट होने लगते हैं। सो मल्टीपल फैक्टर्स हैं। तो आप अर्ली डायग्नोसिस, अर्ली ट्रीटमेंट, टेकिंग केयर ऑफ योर हेल्थ पहले से ही, और डायग्नोसिस ऑफ कोर्स ये हेल्प करेगा कि आप ये देख पाएंगे कि अच्छा आपके लेवल्स जो हैं, इवन योर गट हेल्थ, अगर आपकी जो गट अगर हेल्दी नहीं है, उसका जो माइक्रोब कंटेंट है वो अच्छा नहीं है, तो हमारा गट ही रिस्पॉन्सिबल है, इंटेस्टाइन रिस्पॉन्सिबल है इफेक्टिव न्यूट्रिएंट के अब्जॉर्प्शन के लिए। अगर गट माइक्रोबायोम अच्छा नहीं है तो हमारे जितने भी हम न्यूट्रिएंट्स ले रहे हैं वो इफेक्टिवली अब्जॉर्ब ही नहीं होंगे हमारी बॉडी में। कैल्शियम हम ले रहे हैं, विटामिन डी ले रहे हैं, बहुत सारे न्यूट्रिएंट्स ले रहे हैं, लेकिन अगर वो अब्जॉर्ब ही नहीं हो रहे हैं बॉडी में तो फिर हमारे ऑफ कोर्स बोन डेंसिटी इम्पैक्ट करेगी। Yeah. Yes, Debbie.
And guys, don't worry, this is also for you. I want you to see how age, unfortunately, has an impact on your health as well. So as we said, 1 in 5 men struggle with stress fractures or osteoporosis. And as you can see by this, it's not just an old woman's disease. Men account for 1 in 4 osteoporosis related factors. So it's varying the statistics we're receiving. So this is from Evidence Science-Based Facts. The one prior was Statistics India. So it varies depending on who's doing the research, clearly. But you can see how the bone growth in early years is the most dense. Peak bone mass at the age of 30, and then we've got that decline following that.
Right. So ये हम हर बार विमेन की डेफिनेटली बात करते हैं, एस्ट्रोजन लेवल्स, मेनोपॉज, एवरीथिंग विमेन, बट ऐसा नहीं है कि सिर्फ विमेन इम्पैक्ट हो रही है, मेन भी। एंड ये बहुत ही ऑथेंटिक डेटा है जहाँ देखा गया है कि 1 in 4 मेन को भी ऑस्टियोपोरोसिस हो रहा है। अगर आप देखेंगे 30s के बाद जो मेल हार्मोन है, टेस्टोस्टेरोन लेवल्स है, वो भी बाय 1% अप्रोक्सीमेटली 1% डिक्लाइन कर रहा है। सो ये जितने भी हमारे मेल या फीमेल हार्मोन्स होते हैं वो हमारे बोन मास को, बोन डेंसिटी को इम्पैक्ट करते हैं। सो इट्स जस्ट नॉट फॉर विमेन, मेन विमेन दोनों को अपने हेल्थ पे काम करना है, अर्ली डायग्नोसिस करवाना है 30s में। डू गेट योर बोन्स, योर कैल्शियम लेवल्स, विटामिन डी लेवल्स, ये सारे आप चेक कराइए ताकि आपको पता चले कि आप किस स्टेज पे हैं। आप अर्ली स्टेज पे ही अगर आप काम करने लगेंगे तो डेफिनेटली जो है आप ऑस्टियोपोरोसिस के ऑनसेट को या सिवियरिटी को आप कम कर सकते हैं।
I love how you are saying what I'm going to say. That's exactly right. You need to get it checked if you're at all concerned, if there are any risk factors in your family. So if you have a predisposition to stress fractures, if you know family members have had osteoporosis in the past, if you have had a number of fractures or bone breaks over the course of your life, it is worth checking these readings, checking your diet, your lifestyle, and checking your bone health. And the impact of fractures are very real. And it's very funny. Like, I mean, I've got 3 children, and if you talk about a broken bone, they're like, nah, you're fine, you'll recover. And that's because they are at the peak of the bone remodeling. They're in their 20s, well, they're almost in their 20s, and they have the best dense bone that we could all ask for. It's as we get older, as we saw from 30 years onwards, that bone density is no longer there. And if you have a look at the slide, the impact of fractures, hip fractures double the risk of mortality within 1 year, which is very, very scary. 25% of people with hip fractures end in long-term care, and loss of independence and mobility is often irreversible.
यस सो अगर आप ये स्टैटिस्टिक्स जैसे हम बात करते आए हैं कि अर्ली डायग्नोसिस और 20s में वो डेबी जो है शी इज अ मदर 3 चिल्ड्रन 3 बच्चे हैं उनके एंड स्टिल लाइक शी इज सो बट शी इज टेकिंग केयर ऑफ हर हेल्थ एंड उनके जो 20s में जो एज होती है 20s में जब हम हमारी बोन बहुत पीक मास होता है उसका बेस्ट होता है बट 30s के बाद वो ग्रेजुअली डिक्रीज करने लगता है तो इसलिए अगर आप ये स्टैटिस्टिक्स देखेंगे तो हिप फ्रैक्चर्स जो होते हैं वो मोर्टालिटी का जो रिस्क है वो डबल हो जाता है बिकॉज ऑफ हिप फ्रैक्चर्स विद इन अ ईयर सो 25% जो लोग हैं उनके जो हिप फ्रैक्चर्स अगर हो गए हैं तो वो लॉन्ग टर्म केयर उनको बहुत एक्सटेंसिव और लॉन्ग टर्म केयर की जरूरत पड़ती है एंड दैट्स नॉट ओनली इम्पैक्ट्स योर हेल्थ बट वो मेंटल हेल्थ भी तो इम्पैक्ट कर रही है फैमिली के मेंटल हेल्थ को भी इम्पैक्ट कर रही है सो इंडिपेंडेंस ऑफ कोर्स हिप फ्रैक्चर होता है तो इंडिपेंडेंस मोबिलिटी सब इम्पैक्ट होती है और वो काइंड ऑफ इरिवर्सिबल भी हो जाती है तो इसीलिए अगर आप ये स्टैटिस्टिक यूएस का स्टैटिस्टिक देखेंगे कि एवरी 3 सेकेंड्स में हर 3 सेकेंड्स में कोई भी एक जो है वो बोन ब्रेक कर रहा है विच इज ड्यू टू ऑस्टियोपोरोसिस सो इट्स सो इंटेंस हमको इसकी नॉलेज रखना इतना इम्पोर्टेंट है इसीलिए फॉर बोथ मेन एंड वुमेन या दिया देवी
And I think that statistic that we see there, every 3 seconds, someone globally breaks a bone due to osteoporosis, really highlights how serious condition this is. And I mean, the doctor as well, Dr. Clary Mayer Haver, highlighted that there are all these other conditions, coronary health, diabetes, you name it, it is osteoporosis that we need to be looking into in more common scenarios. And there are risk factors that we can control. There are so many components that we can make a difference in our lives starting today. Each and every one of you are health professionals. Each and every one of you are here because you're putting your health first and that of everyone in your family. But you are a role model. So everything you do, people will watch and reflect and mirror. So things like sedentary lifestyle. I mean, I sit at my desk all day, so I totally hear you. But mornings and evenings and even micro pauses, we have the chance to include exercise day to day. Calcium, vitamin D, I'm going to touch on other micronutrients in a second. We need to make sure that we have the micronutrients to support our bones. Smoking and alcohol, we need to reduce, cut, remove. Medications, medical conditions, we know they're definitely a component of many of our lives. If you are taking medications, look into what you can use to balance those medications, especially the side effects and especially the impact certain medications have on your body. If they are if it kind of interjects or changes the impact on bone health, on your mitochondrial health, on your energy levels, things like that can be impacted on your cells integrity. We need to be strengthening and supporting from a cellular level. And then obviously hormonal balance as well. What can we do? What steps can we take to find that balance? After you, Nia.
Yeah. So आप सब लोग यहाँ पे एक नॉलेज लेने के लिए इकट्ठे हैं, एंड आप इस प्रोफेशन में हैं जहाँ आप यू आर इम्पार्टिंग नॉलेज फॉर हेल्थ, हेल्थ की एजुकेशन आप दे रहे हैं, राइट? सो आपको रोल मॉडल बनना पड़ेगा, आपको पहले अपनी हेल्थ का चार्ज लेना पड़ेगा, अपनी हेल्थ पे वर्क करना पड़ेगा। सो ये कुछ फैक्टर्स हैं जहाँ पे हम अपने जो रिस्क है ऑस्टियोपोरोसिस का, हम उसको कम कर सकते हैं। सिडेंट्री लाइफस्टाइल मतलब हम कोई भी अपनी लाइफस्टाइल पे वर्क नहीं कर रहे हैं, हम एक्सरसाइजेस नहीं कर रहे हैं। सो WHO भी कहता है कि 150 मिनट्स ऑफ एक्सरसाइज इन अ वीक इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। अगर आप उसको इनहांस्ड हेल्थ बेनिफिट्स लेना चाहते हैं तो आप उसको इंक्रीज करिए। अगर आपके न्यूट्रिएंट जो कंजम्पशन है कैल्शियम की, विटामिन डी की, आज हमारे देश में 80 to 90% पॉपुलेशन विटामिन डी में डेफिशिएंट है, राइट? और उसको अगर हम ध्यान नहीं देंगे, डायग्नोसिस नहीं कराएंगे, या हम प्रॉपर न्यूट्रिशन नहीं लेंगे, और कुछ ऐसे रिस्क फैक्टर्स लाइक अगर हम एक्सेस ऑफ स्मोकिंग है, अल्कोहल है, कुछ ऐसे मेडिकेशंस भी हैं जो इम्पैक्ट करते हैं बोन हेल्थ को, जो आपके सेलुलर लेवल तक जाके उसको एनर्जी लेवल्स को इम्पैक्ट करें। आप प्लीज उन मेडिकेशंस का आप नॉलेज लीजिए, उसको समझिए कि कौन सी ऐसी मेडिकेशंस हैं जो आपके बोन को, आपकी हेल्थ को, आपकी एनर्जी लेवल्स को इम्पैक्ट कर सकते हैं। और डेफिनेटली हार्मोनल इश्यूज तो होते ही हैं, अगर हार्मोनल इम्बैलेंस होगा तो आपकी बोन हेल्थ, बोन डेंसिटी जरूर इम्पैक्ट होगी। यस देवी।
Okay, so as I said, it starts with us. First and foremost, I want each and every one of you to look at your posture. Wherever you are right now, how are you sitting? How are you standing? Kyphosis is a very real, natural body position that we can actually stop. We can prevent that kyphotic stance as we get older. Now, if you have a look at that picture, this position of rounding our shoulders is called kyphosis. And if you think of your day, for instance, I'm currently sitting at my desk, I'm rounding my shoulders, whereas I should be sitting up nice and tall. Think of when you're driving in the car. You do this, you kind of round your shoulders, and then you go and sit at dinner table and you round your shoulders and you eat. And then perhaps, while you're watching TV, you've got a pillow behind you because that's kind of comfortable, and you round your shoulders. Wherever you walk, you round your shoulders, and gradually your back starts to look like that 70-year-old. As well as then you go to bed, and because you're so used to doing that whole rounded shoulder position that you need to sleep with 1 or 2 pillows or 3 or 4 pillows, because your body is naturally in that stance and the muscles have kind of strengthened to pull in that way. So all of you sit up straight. Imagine your head's been pulled up through the crown of your head. Relax your shoulders, long spine, open your chest. There are around 60% of diseases that are impacted and elevated as a result of not gaining and receiving enough oxygen. Your bone cells need oxygen. They're remodeling all the time and they thrive with oxygen. So breathe, you've got to breathe, and it's all about posture. Sorry, Neha, I got carried away.
Yeah, no, I understand because अगर आप ये स्लाइड देखेंगे तो ये पोस्चर की बात कर रही है। पोस्चर बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। हमारे एज में क्या होता है कि हम जनरली वी आर जब हम बैठते हैं तो हम शोल्डर्स को ऐसे बिल्कुल ऐसे फोल्ड करके बैठते हैं, या हम खाना खा रहे हैं तो ऐसे झुक के बैठते हैं, फोन देख रहे हैं तो हम बिल्कुल ऐसे करके देखते हैं। एंड ये पोस्चर जो है ग्रेजुअली जो है एक आदत, हमारे शरीर में ही एक आदत सी बन जाती है। हमारे मसल्स, हमारे बोन्स वैसे ही झुकते चले जाते हैं। हमारी जो स्पाइनल, जो अगर आप बैकबोन देख रहे हैं, उसका पोस्चर जो है वो खराब होता चला जाता है। अगर आप इसको जो शोल्डर्स को हम ऐसे आगे करके करते हैं और बैक हमारी हंच हो जाती है, इस पोस्चर को काइफोटिक पोस्चर बोलते हैं। और ये बहुत कॉमन है, ये मैंने भी एक्सपीरियंस किया है। जब हम बहुत ज्यादा हम आपको हमेशा अपने शोल्डर्स को बैक रख के स्ट्रेट बैठना चाहिए, और इससे मुझे बैक एक की प्रॉब्लम भी हुई है। इनिशियली मैं आपको अगर बताऊं, मैं बहुत ज्यादा सिस्टम पे ऐसे ही बैठती थी, मेरा पोस्चर डिक्लाइन ऐसे खराब होता चला जा रहा था, एंड वंस इतना ज्यादा हो गया था कि मुझे चक्कर आने लग गए थे, क्योंकि मेरी बैक ट्रेपीजियम मसल अफेक्ट हो गई थी, मेरी बोन्स अफेक्ट हो गई थी। एंड मुझे स्पेसिफिकली मुझे ये नहीं समझ में आया कि मुझे क्यों चक्कर आ रहा है। तो मैं जब नॉर्मल फिजिशियन के पास गई तो उन्होंने कहा कि फिजिशियन नहीं, आपको ऑर्थोपेडिक के पास जाना पड़ेगा। ऑर्थोपेडिक के पास गई तो उन्होंने पूरा मुझे एक्सप्लेन किया दैट व्हेनेवर यू सिट, आपका जो स्क्रीन होना चाहिए, आपकी आईज के लेवल पे होना चाहिए, आपको शोल्डर्स बिल्कुल पीछे, थोड़े टाइम पे अपने आप को रिमाइंड कराइए कि मेरा शोल्डर आगे आ रहा है तो मुझे वापस उसको फोल्ड करना, उसको वापस बैक करना है, सीधे बैठना है। एक्सरसाइजेस मुझे बताई एंड इट टुक मी अराउंड 3 to 4 months टू गेट बैक इनटू शेप, एंड मेरी उस ट्रेपीजियम मसल्स को मैंने स्ट्रेंथ दी, बहुत सारी एक्सरसाइजेस करी, बट वो कंडीशन में उसको ले गई वहां पे। अगर हम इस चीज का अभी से ध्यान रखेंगे तो शायद हमारी वो कंडीशन वहां तक पहुंचेगी ही नहीं। तो इसलिए पोस्चर को ध्यान देना बहुत 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 जरूरी है। यस देवी।
Okay, but now there are some factors that we can't influence, that we can't control. Things like age, gender. Ladies, unfortunately, due to the depletion of the estrogen, it does have more of an impact to us. Family history, as I mentioned, body frame size. The smaller the frame, quite often the lighter the frame, and that can impact on the bone density as well. Ethnicity, so Caucasian and Asian women are at a higher risk.
राइट सेबी। सो कुछ ऐसे रिस्क फैक्टर्स होते हैं जो हमारे कंट्रोल में नहीं है, बट जो कंट्रोल में है उन पे आप जरूर काम करिए। कुछ ऐसे फैक्टर्स हैं जैसे जो आप इनहेरिट कर रहे हैं, जैसे आपकी एज इज अ फैक्टर। जैसे जैसे हम एज करते हैं, हमारे ऑफ कोर्स बोन डेंसिटी डिक्रीज करती है, एस्ट्रोजन लेवल्स ड्रॉप करते हैं, वो हम कंट्रोल नहीं कर सकते, ग्रेजुअली वो ड्रॉप कर रहे हैं, बट हम बाकी चीजों को डेफिनेटली हम कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं। जेंडर, जैसे कि फीमेल्स को ज्यादा ऑस्टियोपोरोसिस होने के चांसेस होते हैं, बोन लॉस होने के ज्यादा टेंडेंसी ज्यादा होती है, एल्डरली में ज्यादा होती है। फैमिली हिस्ट्री में अगर किसी के ऑस्टियोपोरोसिस रहा है या बोन वीक बोन्स रही हैं, तो ऑफ कोर्स हमारे ऑस्टियोपोरोसिस या वीक बोन होने के चांसेस बढ़ जाते हैं। बॉडी का फ्रेम साइज भी बहुत इम्पैक्ट करता है। एथनिसिटी, मतलब एशियन विमेन जो हैं वो हायर रिस्क पे होती हैं, राइट। बाकी अगर हम एथनिसिटी से कंपेयर करें तो एशियन वुमेन हायर रिस्क पे हैं। यस।
But we have the ability to change this. We have the ability to support our bodies. So, holistic strategies for unbreakable bones. Point 1, nutrition. What are your calcium, vitamin D, magnesium, and vitamin K2 levels like? Have you ever taken that into account? Weight-bearing exercises. Do you go to the gym, or do you do compound exercises at home? Now, I know a lot of you are either going to say, yes, I love the gym, or you're thinking, oh, I don't really go to the gym, so what can I do? So there are a number of exercises that you can do that will support your muscles, your big muscles, to support your bones. Things like a squat, or a lunge, or a plank, or a lat pull down, or a bench press, anything that's using your large muscle groups, because that in turn elevates your heart rate, elevates your blood pressure, elevates your metabolism, increases your muscle mass, and then increases the impact to remodel bones. Yes, you need to walk. Yes, you need to do impact type exercises to also enhance that remodeling, but weight-bearing exercises are very important. And I'll give you an example as to why impact. And I know a lot of people say, oh no, but osteoporosis, I shouldn't do anything that includes impact. However, the impact, just gentle impact, like something like walking or weight-bearing exercises, will actually encourage that remodeling and osteoblast activity, which is so very important. And even astronauts, when they go out of space, they have to weigh themselves down on a treadmill so that they get that impact type activity, because otherwise the remodeling is not happening, because obviously there's no gravity, and they're going to create stress fractures within their bones because the remodeling is delayed. So any type of exercise, any type of impact is vital for your health. Now, we've touched on hormones. Obviously, estrogen depletes, testosterone depletes, DHA plays a role in creating estrogen. So unfortunately, as we get older, also, that reduction occurs. Supplementation. Now, supplementation is everything in today's lifestyle. I cannot speak highly enough of supplementation, obviously. Now, Neha is going to do a training on the best supplementation to support this. And then obviously lifestyle. So we've touched on smoking, moderate alcohol, and sleep. Strangely enough, sleep is restorative, sleep is rejuvenative. We need to include that in our day-to-day.
Right. हम जैसे मैंने आपको कहा कि हम कुछ फैक्टर्स, ऑफ कोर्स रिस्क फैक्टर्स जो हमारे कंट्रोल में नहीं है, बट कुछ चीजें हम डेफिनेटली कर सकते हैं अपनी बोन को स्ट्रेंथन करने के लिए. न्यूट्रिशन इज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट, लाइक कैल्शियम, विटामिन डी, मैग्नीशियम, विटामिन K2. आप लोग कितना आप कितना कितनी फ्रिक्वेंटली अपना ये लेवल्स चेक कराते हैं? क्या आपको पता है कि आप इन चीजों में डेफिशिएंट है? क्या आप वो फूड्स खा रहे हैं जो इन चीजों में एक्चुअली रिच है? हमारी जो नीड है कैल्शियम की, जैसे 1000 मिलीग्राम है पर डे. विटामिन डी की जो रिक्वायरमेंट्स हैं वो भी बहुत हाई है. क्या हम उसको मीट कर पा रहे हैं? सेकेंडली, वेट बेरिंग एक्सरसाइजेस. तो ये मैंने भी बहुत रियलाइज किया है 30s के बाद एंड 40s के बाद. 30s 40s में आपको जरूर वेट बेरिंग एक्सरसाइजेस करनी चाहिए. ऐसा नहीं है कि आप अचानक से 10 किलो या फिर 20 किलो उठाएं, लेकिन आप स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं 2 से 2.5 किलो से, 5 kg से. रेजिस्टेंस एक्सरसाइजेस, इससे क्या होता है जब आप वेट बेरिंग एक्सरसाइजेस करते हैं, रेजिस्टेंट एक्सरसाइजेस करते हैं, जो हमारी ऑस्टियोब्लास्ट की एक्टिविटी है, जहां ऑस्टियोब्लास्ट मतलब वो वाले सेल्स जो बोन को बना रहे हैं, उनकी एक्टिविटी इंक्रीज हो जाती है. और हमारी मस्कुलर स्ट्रेंथ भी बहुत इंप्रूव होती है. मसल हम बिल्डअप करते हैं क्योंकि मसल ही हमारी बोन्स को सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं, राइट? हमारा मेटाबॉलिज्म इंक्रीज होता है, हमारे एनर्जी लेवल्स बढ़ते हैं. और अगर हम हार्मोनल बैलेंस को, वी आर टारगेटिंग ऑन हार्मोनल बैलेंस, एस्ट्रोजन बैलेंस, टेस्टोस्टेरोन बैलेंस, DHEA बैलेंस, तो उससे भी बहुत इम्पैक्ट पड़ता है. सप्लीमेंटेशन ऑफ कोर्स तब काम आता है क्योंकि जैसे कि हमने देखा कि कैल्शियम की रिक्वायरमेंट 1000 मिलीग्राम है. क्या हम डेली दूध पी रहे हैं? क्या हम डेली दही खा रहे हैं, पनीर खा रहे हैं, या कैल्शियम रिच फूड्स खा रहे हैं? नहीं खा रहे हैं. हम एक दिन दूध पीते हैं, अगले 2 दिन हम नहीं पीते हैं, राइट? या हम विटामिन डी मेजरली आपको सनलाइट से आपकी स्किन बनाती है, या फिर बहुत ही फिश ऑयल में आपको विटामिन डी मिलता है. इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट, विटामिन D3 मिलना बहुत ही डिफिकल्ट है. अ, तो क्या हम उसको पूरा कर पा रहे हैं? मैग्नीशियम हमें पता ही नहीं है कि हमें किस फूड से मिल रहा है, कहाँ से हमें लेना चाहिए. इसीलिए वहां पे सप्लीमेंटेशन काम आती है. लाइफस्टाइल, ऑफ कोर्स अगर आप लाइफस्टाइल पे काम करेंगे तो आप बहुत सारे रिस्क फैक्टर्स को डिक्रीज कर सकते हैं. स्मोकिंग, अल्कोहल को अगर आप लें तो प्लीज बहुत ओकेजनल लें, मॉडरेट अल्कोहल कंजम्पशन करें. स्लीप भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. जहां स्लीप अफेक्ट होती है वहां पे हमारे हार्मोन डिस्टर्बेंसेस भी आ जाते हैं, राइट? अगर आपको पता होगा कि जब हमारी स्लीप अच्छी नहीं होती तो हम अगले दिन इरिटेटेड होते हैं, हमारे स्ट्रेस लेवल्स बहुत ज्यादा होते हैं, कॉर्टिसोल लेवल्स बढ़ जाता है. कॉर्टिसोल बढ़ेगा तो ऑफ कोर्स एस्ट्रोजन इम्पैक्ट होगा, एस्ट्रोजन. सो इट्स अ विशियस साइकिल. हमारी लाइफस्टाइल, न्यूट्रिशन, एवरीथिंग जो है वो एक के बाद एक हमें अफेक्ट कर रही है. यस, अभी टू यू.
No worries. Okay, so really holistic strategies are vital. We need to implement them in our day to day. When we're talking about sleep and the stress cycle that can be impacted from not having sufficient sleep, that can directly correlate with our bone health. So when you go to bed too late in the evening, your melatonin, which is your sleep hormone, is impacted. And then consequently, that elevates your cortisol levels when you wake up in the morning. So the whole cycle of cortisol to get you up in the morning is not working. And so consequently, that's extending the impact. And then we're not going to bed at a sensible time in the evenings because our cortisol is still elevated and melatonin is not kicking in. So what we need to focus on is good, efficient dietary regimen. Now, if you look at recommended daily allowance regimes, I thought I would highlight some key components that are absolutely causing impact in our Indian society. So as you can see there, 85% of your population are not gaining sufficient vitamin D. So RDI means recommended daily intake, what you should be taking in your day-to-day diets. Now, if you're thinking of your diet, just have a think about what you ate over the course of yesterday, or over the course of the week or the weekend. How many foods are you taking in that would support your vitamin D levels? How much sunshine are you getting to support your vitamin D levels? Obviously, when we're talking vitamin D as well, we need to consider that sun is ultraviolet rays and can have an impact on our skin. So we can't have too much. But then 1 billion of the Earth's population is deficient in vitamin D as well. So very, very important to ensure we're supplementing or finding an additional reserve in vitamin D. As you can see there as well, 60% of people are not getting sufficient calcium in India, as well as 80% of the risk globally of zinc insufficient and magnesium as well. Now, when we're looking at all of these components, they all correlate to bone health. And here's why. So vitamin D is absolutely crucial, essential for the absorption of calcium, which is a key component, obviously, in bone health. Calcium, vital, necessary, and is the building block of your bones. So if we're not getting enough vitamin D, we're not able to absorb the calcium to support the bone health, which is critical building block of our bone. Then plus with magnesium, it plays a critical role in maintaining strong bones and healthy bones, and involved in the whole stimulation of osteoblasts. And then zinc as well, also the stimulation of osteoblasts. So can you see how these 4 components with the depletion levels in India are impacting, potentially causing that 61 million osteoporosis cases? Over to you, Neha.
Yes. सो ये आप देखेंगे इसमें बताया गया है कि RDI मतलब रेकमेंडेड डेली इनटेक, जो आपको डेली के न्यूट्रिएंट रिक्वायरमेंट्स जितनी होनी चाहिए इंडियन पॉपुलेशन के लिए, अगर आप देखेंगे तो विटामिन डी जो है वो अपना जो डेली की रिक्वायरमेंट है, जैसे मैंने आपको बताया था 80 to 90%, 85% पॉपुलेशन वो मीट ही नहीं कर पा रही है। कैल्शियम जो है, हम उतना कैल्शियम जितना हमें रिक्वायर्ड है, हम 60% जो है वो हम एडिक्वेट पॉपुलेशन जो है वो कैल्शियम इनटेक उतना कर ही नहीं रहा है जितना हमें डेली का रिक्वायरमेंट है। और वैसे ही आप देखेंगे आयरन है या जिंक है, मैग्नीशियम है। जिंक का ये ग्लोबल डेटा है जहाँ पे 80% जो है वो जिंक डेफिशिएंसी के रिस्क पे हैं, राइट। ये सारा डेटा जो है वो ये शो कर रहा है ये इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्टर्स जो है, जैसे विटामिन डी जो है वो बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है आपके कैल्शियम अब्जॉर्प्शन के लिए। अगर आप कैल्शियम ले रहे हैं, कैल्शियम रिच फूड्स भी ले रहे हैं, लेकिन क्या वो अब्जॉर्ब हो रहा है आपकी बॉडी में, वो डिफाइन करता है कि आपका विटामिन डी लेवल्स कितने हैं, राइट। आपका मैग्नीशियम, आपका इंटेक अच्छा है कि नहीं। जो मैग्नीशियम है, जिंक है, वो ऑस्टियोब्लास्ट की एक्टिविटी को बढ़ाता है, वो इंक्रीज करता है। सो पूरा बोन फॉर्मेशन, कैल्शियम डेपोजिशन, जो आपके बोन का बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट मिनरल है आपकी बोन को डेंस बनाने के लिए, वो भी डेफिशिएंसी है हमारे पॉपुलेशन में। सो अगर हम सप्लीमेंटेशन लेते हैं तो उस जो गैप हो रहा है, उस गैप को हम बहुत हद तक कवर कर सकते हैं। और अगर हम इन न्यूट्रिएंट्स को कवर अप करेंगे, इन न्यूट्रिएंट्स का एडिक्वेट इनटेक लेंगे, तो हमारी डेफिनेटली ओवरऑल हेल्थ, बोन हेल्थ भी बहुत अच्छी रहेगी। Yes, Debbie, to you.
Fabulous. Okay, so as you can see here, we have the actual requirement for bone strength. So calcium, exactly what adults need, 1,000 milligrams a day if you're between the ages of 19 to 50, 51 to 70, 1,200 milligrams a day for women, and then obviously different for men. So calcium, vitamin D, and magnesium, as I said, are 3 components, 3 micronutrients that work hand in hand. Now, as we mentioned before, vitamin D helps the body to absorb the calcium into the bone cells. Magnesium helps the body to activate that vitamin D, and the bone is then created and built with the calcium. So all 3 needs to work in unison. We need a complete balance of calcium to magnesium to ensure that activation occurs, as far as ensuring within our body. As you can see there, the body, though, only needs 600 international units of vitamin D per day for adults 19 to 70 years old, and likewise 70 plus 800 units. Okay, but then magnesium, different. Now, did you know magnesium actually plays a role in over 500 different kind of activities within the body? So metabolic activities that are so very vital for your health and well-being, and it's almost a unknown micronutrient when it comes to health and well-being, specifically in bone health. So we need to focus on these components. And when we're talking about your day-to-day diet, there are so many different vegetables that you can include to ensure we're getting calcium density, calcium that is going to ensure the health and well-being of our bones. And when we've got the balance of vitamin D as well as magnesium, we'll be definitely utilizing this calcium from there to there. Sorry, so I've jumped a bit, Neha, so I can go back for you. There you go.
नो प्रॉब्लम देवी। ये दिखा रहा है कि जैसे मैंने अभी भी आपको बताया कि कैल्शियम की रिक्वायरमेंट्स जो हैं 1000 मिलीग्राम पर डे हैं। अगर आप करीब 200 ml आप मिल्क लेते हैं तो उसमें करीब आपको अप्रोक्सीमेटली 200 मिलीग्राम कैल्शियम मिलता है। तो आज से आपको 5 ग्लासेस ऑफ मिल्क पीना पड़ेगा। सो इट्स सच हाई रिक्वायरमेंट्स। और अडल्ट्स के लिए जो 60 प्लस या 51 प्लस हैं उनकी भी रिक्वायरमेंट्स बहुत ज्यादा हो जाती हैं, राइट। अब हमारे जो अडल्ट पॉपुलेशन है, एल्डरली की रिक्वायरमेंट्स और भी ज्यादा बढ़ जाती हैं। वैसे ही मैग्नीशियम, विटामिन डी, सो मैग्नीशियम जो है वो एक्टिवेट करता है विटामिन डी को, और विटामिन डी जो है वो कैल्शियम के अब्जॉर्प्शन के लिए इम्पोर्टेंट है। तो ये बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट न्यूट्रिएंट्स हैं आपस में जो सिनर्जिस्टिकली काम करते हैं आपकी बोन्स को डेंस बनाने के लिए, आपकी बोन्स को हेल्दी बनाने के लिए। सो हमारे डाइट में फूड्स जो है कैल्शियम रिच फूड्स, डेबी यू कैन गो टू नेक्स्ट स्लाइड। या सो कैल्शियम रिच फूड्स अगर आप देखेंगे तो बहुत सारे लीफी वेजिटेबल्स जैसे हैं, आपका पालक है, एमरंथ जिसको हम चौलाई कहते हैं, शायद आप बहुत से लोगों को पता होगा, हमारे यहाँ चौलाई कहते हैं, बट या स्पिनच है, बथुआ है, फेनुग्रीक जो मेथी के पत्ते हैं वो है, उनमें कैल्शियम बहुत पाया जाता है। जितने भी लेग्यूम्स मतलब जो हमारे बीन्स होते हैं, चना, राजमा, जो छोले जिनको कहते हैं, या लेंटिल्स जो हमारी मसूर की दाल होती है, वो जो है उसमें कैल्शियम होता है। आपके रेजिन्स जो जो आपकी नट्स एंड ड्राई फ्रूट्स हैं उसमें भी कैल्शियम पाया जाता है। सो आप इंश्योर करिए कि ये सारे फूड्स और डेयरी प्रोडक्ट्स जो हैं, डेयरी मतलब आपका कोई भी मिल्क एंड मिल्क प्रोडक्ट, चाहे वो पनीर है, दही है, मिल्क, आप मिल्क को किसी भी फॉर्म में लीजिए, दही के फॉर्म में लीजिए, पनीर के फॉर्म में लीजिए, आप जब कुछ खीर वगैरह बना रहे हैं तो आप उसमें भी योगर्ट के फॉर्म में, सीड्स अदर्स जैसे एग्स, टोफू, ये सारे जो सी फूड्स हैं वो भी कैल्शियम में बहुत रिच हैं। yes Debbie, we can go ahead.
And the most important component, I suppose, is to remember that we shouldn't eat for one specific reason. We need to focus on our diet being colorful and plentiful. I challenge all of you to eat a variety of foods, almost thinking about 40 different foods within your weekly diet. Because what that does is it ensures a healthy gut microbiome, we've got balance of our gut bacteria, and then we are able to absorb and use all of this fantastic nutrient-dense foods in our diet. Because food is foundational, food is first. We need to focus on our diet and making sure we've got this wide variety to support our microbiome so we can really absorb and utilize the diet that you are providing us. And then in turn, we are going to have healthy, dense bones, and we're working towards constantly remodeling. Even though as we age, even though estrogen is depleting, we still have the ability to utilize things like phytoestrogens, which are plant-based estrogens to support the remodeling of bones. Plus, as we can see here, we've got such a range of calcium-rich foods that we can support our bodies and support the bone cells to ensure that remodeling is taking place and ensure longevity as well.
Yes.
Obviously, we have exercise as well. Sorry, go for it.
No, please go ahead, Devi. Sorry, I interrupted.
No worries. Last but not least, we have exercise. So as we said earlier, we need that resistance exercise as well as cardiovascular exercise to support bone health. And it increases that bone density. Best exercises as you've got there, you've got squats, you've got lunges, you've got stair climbing, you've got jumping, you've got Pilates. Aim 3 times per week for 30 minutes. Now, what we need to focus on though, even though we're doing it 3 times per week, I don't want you thinking, oh, just go gently and a lightweight. Look at that picture. We're not using 2 kilogram dumbbells anymore. We need intensity. You need to be lifting heavy. Ladies, I'm talking to you as well, because I know the guys are like, yeah, well, obviously I've got muscles. Ladies, we need to be lifting heavier weights than teeny tiny little 2 kilogram dumbbells. because those heavier weights will strengthen our muscles. Those muscles will then support our bones, support our skeleton, and allow us to keep leveraging, moving, articulating, whatever we need to do day to day. But also, as we increase our muscles, we're increasing our testosterone, and that's also supporting bone remodeling and bone health. So something to think about.
Yes. So, जैसे of course डाइट न्यूट्रिशन ये बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है, साथ ही साथ एक्सरसाइज, राइट? एक्सरसाइज जैसे कि आप, जैसे मैंने आपको जैसे डेबी बता रही हैं कि स्ट्रेंथ ट्रेनिंग, रेजिस्टेंस ट्रेनिंग, वेट ट्रेनिंग जो है वो बहुत जरूरी है विमेन के लिए भी, राइट? आप स्टार्ट जरूर 5-6 kg से कर सकते हैं, बट एम कि आप हैवी वेट्स उठा रहे हैं, राइट? जैसे मैंने भी स्टार्ट 5 kg से किया, लेकिन ग्रेजुअली आज जो है आई एम लिफ्टिंग अप टू लाइक 10-15 kgs, 20 kgs भी मैं लिफ्ट करती हूँ, लेकिन ग्रेजुअली आपको ट्रेन करना पड़ता है अपने आप को। आप एम करिए कि आप हायर वेट्स को उठा पाए, क्योंकि जितना आप हायर वेट्स उठाएंगे आपकी जो बोन स्ट्रेंथिंग है, मसल बिल्डिंग है, वो ज्यादा हो पाएगी। सो ऐसी कुछ एक्सरसाइजेस हैं जो आप अगर जिम नहीं भी जा रहे हैं तो आप ये कर सकते हैं। स्क्वाट्स हैं, लंजेस हैं, स्टेयर्स क्लाइंबिंग, जंपिंग, पिलाटेस। और जैसे कहा कि मिनिमम 3 days इन अ वीक 30 minutes आपको ये एक्सरसाइज करनी बहुत जरूरी है। और विमेन जो है वो अपनी बोन डेंसिटी, अगर आप ये देखेंगे स्टैटिस्टिक देखेंगे तो वो 13% जो है वो इंक्रीज कर सकती हैं अगर वो 6 months अपने स्ट्रेंथ ट्रेनिंग करती हैं या रेजिस्टेंस ट्रेनिंग करती हैं। ये डेटा इट्स ये देखा गया है, ये इट हैज बीन स्टडीड। और ये एक्चुअली मैंने भी बहुत फील किया है जब से मैंने स्ट्रेंथ ट्रेनिंग स्टार्ट की है। मुझमें एनर्जी एनर्जी, स्टैमिना, एंड्योरेंस ये बहुत बढ़ गया है। मेरी बोन हेल्थ, मुझे जहाँ थोड़ा बहुत पेन्स होते थे, आज मैं अगर गैप ले लूँ ना 1 हफ्ते का, अगर एक्सरसाइज मैं ना करूँ तो मुझे लगता है मेरी बॉडी पेन करना शुरू हो गई है। सो व्हेन आई गो बैक, जब मैं वापस अपने स्केड्यूल पे जाती हूँ तो मुझे लगता है मैं वापस मेरी मसल स्ट्रेंथ, बोन स्ट्रेंथ, इवन माय मेरे हैप्पीनेस फैक्टर जो है वो बढ़ जाता है। आई एम मोर हैप्पी जब मैं एक्सरसाइजेस करती हूँ। तो ये बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है कि न्यूट्रिशन के साथ साथ आप एक्सरसाइजेस, स्ट्रेंथ ट्रेनिंग भी, वेट ट्रेनिंग भी जरूर इंक्लूड करें, ग्रेजुअली टू हैवी वेट्स। Yes, Debbie,
Fabulous.
to you.
You said endorphins there, didn't you?
Yes.
So that
Yes.
happy hormone stimulated as a result of
Yeah.
exercise. Exactly right. And I love
Right.
that statistic that's on the slide right there. Women who strength train can increase spinal bone density by 13% in 6 months. So, that sort of impact, that lifting technique, whatever it might be, that's going to generate those new bone cells. That's going to generate bone strength. And that's what we need as we move into our age. And if you have a look at the slide, you can see that bone strengthening exercises are very apparent. So if you didn't know what a squat was, you can see that little picture there. It's a lady bending and straightening her legs, and it's exactly what you need to do. As Neha just said, 20 kilograms when you're doing squats? Is that what you're doing? And that's fantastic. Just increasing a little bit more as you get more accustomed to moving and lifting weight, do a little bit more. If you have joints that hurt, change, adapt the exercise to suit you. But you can make a difference in your day-to-day. If you don't have time throughout the day, that's not a problem. You can do something called snack exercise, snack activity, whatever it might be. So you're having snacks of exercise through the day. So for instance, start the day with a plank. You can see the plank there. Wake up in the morning, do a plank. Then while you're brushing your teeth, do lunges. Then you go to the office, go to work, whatever it might be. Then in the evening, while you're waiting for dinner to cook, do some jumping jacks or do some push-ups. Just little things like that, implementing little bits of exercise throughout the day. You can do this. There's no excuse. And your customers and your family and your friends, everyone needs to implement some sort of activity. And all of these here require no equipment. They don't require a gym. Sure, some trainers would be great, but they don't require for you to pay for anything to improve your quality of life. And by doing this and by focusing on your nutrition, so like we saw those, calcium rich foods, it is going to make a change. And just like Neha said, it's going to elevate your happy hormones, your endorphins. So you're going to feel good about yourself when you're almost a phytoestrogen type way because it's helping to support your body. It's nutritive, it's restorative. And the hormones work hand in hand to ensure that feel good and that cycle of continuing to eat well, continuing to exercise, continuing to go to bed at a decent time, and then to wake up restored. So everything we do works in unison to ensure health. Over to you.
Yes, so very well said, Debbie. सो ये आपको स्लाइड दिखा रही है कि क्या स्क्वाट्स एग्जैक्टली क्या होते हैं. जैसे स्क्वाट्स आप यूट्यूब पे भी देख सकते हैं, बट इट्स बेटर कि आप प्रॉपर उसकी पोजीशनिंग देखें. स्क्वाट्स इज बेंडिंग. लंज है आपका, दिस इज अ पोजीशन जो आप पैर पीछे ले जाते हैं. प्लैंक्स है, आप प्लैंक्स, वॉकिंग, पुशअप्स, जंपिंग जैक्स, ये कभी भी आप दिन में कर सकते हैं. ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको बहुत स्पेसिफिक टाइम निकालना है. आप छोटी छोटी एक्सरसाइजेस, यू कैन ब्रेक दीज एक्सरसाइजेस ड्यूरिंग द डे. जैसे आप सुबह उठे तो आपने प्लैंक कर लिया फॉर 30 सेकेंड, स्टार्ट विद 30 सेकेंड, गो अप टू 1 मिनट, 2 मिनट्स भी आप कर सकते हैं. जैसे जैसे आप करेंगे आपकी ड्यूरेशन ऑफ एक्टिविटी भी बढ़ती चली जाएगी. आई नो पहले दिन मुश्किल लगता है, लेकिन प्लीज स्टार्ट, बिकॉज आपको हार्डली 10-15 मिनट चाहिए होते हैं. आप सुबह के 10-15 मिनट निकाल लीजिए, दोपहर में जब आप फ्री हो रहे हैं, शाम को आप फ्री हो रहे हैं, तो आप कोई ना कोई ये एक्सरसाइजेस जरूर करें. और ग्रेजुअली आप इन एक्सरसाइजेस के साथ आप वेट्स भी उठा सकते हैं. जैसे स्क्वाट में आपने थोड़ा सा वेट उठा लिया, देन यू आर डूइंग स्क्वाट्स. लंजेस के साथ भी आप वेट्स उठा सकते हैं. और मैंने देखा है, ये सिर्फ मेरी एज या 20-30s के लिए नहीं है. मैं जब जिम जाती हूँ तो वहां पे लेडीज जो 50s में है, जो 60s में है, इवन मेरे साथ एक लेडी आती है जो 70s में है, और वो वेट ट्रेनिंग कर रही हैं. वो 10 किलो 15 किलो वो भी उठा रही हैं. राइट, मतलब मिनिमम मैं आपको बता रही हूँ, जो लेडीज है वो इक्वल जितना मेन वेट उठा रहे हैं, 20 केजीज, 25 केजीज, वो भी उठा रही हैं. सो इट्स जस्ट पुशिंग योर सेल्फ, थिंकिंग अबाउट योर बॉडी. आप अपने बारे में, हम विमेन इंडिया में जनरली अपने बारे में ना सोचकर पूरी फैमिली के बारे में सोचते हैं. बट प्लीज थिंक अबाउट, स्टार्ट एक्सरसाइजिंग, और होलिस्टिक अप्रोच लेना बहुत जरूरी है. Yes, Debbie, to
Very
you.
well. Well said. So take action today. And I think we've just covered this entirely. So bone density test, check where you're at. If you have any concerns, do a DEXA scan. Daily supplements. As I said, Neha will take you through that at a later time. Weekly strength training, 3 times a week. But it doesn't mean 3 times a week and the rest of the week you just kind of sit on your bottom doing nothing. 3 times a week strength training. The rest of the week needs to include things like HIIT sessions at the gym or kind of high intensity type training. You need to go for a walk, or perhaps a run, or perhaps a walk and a run. You need to think about things like yoga or Pilates. Or any variety of, and then that in turn strengthens your bone health. Meal plan with bone boosting foods like we've gone through, and regular health assessments. Take health checks. It's very important not to just ignore symptoms. Sure, we have aches and pains as we get older, but that's not to say we shouldn't take notice of them. Be aware where your body's at. Have that proprioception so you know what's changed, and talk to someone or research if you're concerned.
Yes, so ये हम पूरे प्रेजेंटेशन में हम स्पेसिफाई करते आए हैं कि आप चेकअप कराइए. बोन डेंसिटी टेस्ट जो डेक्सा स्कैन्स होते हैं, गेट इट चेक एटलीस्ट वंस इन अ ईयर. सप्लीमेंट, ऑफ कोर्स सप्लीमेंट्स बहुत जरूरी है. रूटीन में लाना. हम कंसिस्टेंट नहीं होते हैं, राइट. हम 2 दिन लेते हैं, तीसरे दिन हम भूल जाते हैं, या हम 2 दिन, 1 हफ्ता हम एक्सरसाइजेस करते हैं, हम भूल जाते हैं. सो प्लीज बी कंसिस्टेंट. और दूसरा, जो हम स्ट्रेंथ ट्रेनिंग कर रहे हैं वो वीक में 3 बार करनी है, लेकिन बाकी दिन आप मिक्स एंड मैच वर्कआउट कर सकते हैं. वॉक के लिए जा सकते हैं, रनिंग के लिए जा सकते हैं, आप योगा कर सकते हैं. सो मैं भी आज के टाइम पे इवन आई थिंक डेबी भी मिक्स एंड मैच वर्कआउट्स कर रहे हैं, राइट. कभी हम डांस फिटनेस करते हैं, कभी हम स्ट्रेंथ ट्रेनिंग करते हैं. 3 दिन डेफिनेटली मिनिमम इज स्ट्रेंथ एंड वेट ट्रेनिंग. कभी वॉक, कभी रन. ऑफ कोर्स, और मील प्लान अपना मील में जरूर, जैसे में हमने आपको बताया कि कौन से ऐसे बोन बूस्टिंग फूड्स होते हैं, जैसे कैल्शियम रिच फूड्स हैं, मैग्नीशियम रिच फूड्स हैं, वो आप कॉन्शियसली ट्राई टू इंक्लूड, आप अपने मील में जरूर इंक्लूड करें। अगर आप इंक्लूड करेंगी, विमेन फैमिली में इंक्लूड करेंगी, तो आई थिंक वो सबके लिए इंक्लूड हो जाता है। हमारे इंडिया में ऐसा ही है कि अगर हम कुछ बना रहे हैं, हम कुछ अपनी फैमिली के लिए बना रहे हैं, तो वो बच्चे भी वही खा रहे हैं, मेन ऑफ द फैमिली भी वही खा रहे हैं, इंटायर फैमिली इज हैविंग हेल्दी फूड। और रेगुलर असेसमेंट्स, ये मैं अपनी ट्रेनिंग्स में भी जब भी हम बात करते हैं, तो रेगुलर असेसमेंट्स बहुत जरूरी हैं। ऑफ कोर्स, लाइक आप ईयरली, 6 मंथली आप अपने ओवरऑल बॉडी चेकअप जरूर कराएं, जिससे आपको पता लगे कि आप कहाँ पे हैं, राइट, आपकी हेल्थ सिचुएशन कहाँ पे है, और आप क्या उसको इम्प्रूव करने के लिए आप क्या वर्क कर सकते हैं। या देवी, थैंक यू। या यू कैन गो अहेड।
So sorry, Mika. You had a frozen moment there. Okay, so that's a wrap, everyone. Just to kind of go through what we spoke about. We spoke about key points, open to suggestions and questions. I want you to think from the big scale of things. Talk to your team, talk to your family members. Be sure to encourage actionable steps that you can implement in your day-to-day. Don't hesitate to kind of sit on your laurels and wonder if there's any changes. I want you to reach out to your family and your friends and ask them how they're feeling and if they're ready to engage in some bone health activities, if they're ready to engage in a bone healthy diet, if they're ready to make changes in their life. You are the role model. Remember, you are the one that's going to make a difference in their lives and make a difference in your own as well. So being the health professional that you are, today's the day we're making this change. Make these changes, implement them from here on out, and you're going to be wonderful as the health models that I know you are. Thank you for having me tonight. It's been a great audience. Great to see you all. I'm loving all the hearts and the thumbs that keep rolling up the screen as well. And yes, we do have a poll as well if you would like to join in on that.
तो आपके पास एक पोल आया होगा, प्लीज यू कैन, आप लोग इसमें पार्टिसिपेट कर सकते हैं। Okay, Debbie, there are questions in the chat.
Oh, I did see someone wanted to see the graph again. I'll put that
Yeah.
on person. I think it was this one. Bone mass graph with age for men and women. Ramesh, was that the one you were hoping to see? So that's for women.
Okay, I think he wants to see a graph for men versus women, but we
Okay, yeah, no, we haven't got that
yeah,
on the screen
we
yet, but
don't have as
definitely
of
something
now.
we can,
Yeah.
definitely something we can provide at another time.
Sure. Then Harinderjeet is asking, isn't milk acidic in nature?
I suppose it depends on how the body metabolizes it. So milk's not necessarily acidic in nature itself, but it's how, like, it's a fermentation process. Like if we're creating, for instance, when you separate milk, you've got curds and whey, and you can actually turn that fermentation of the whey into things, cultures such as kefir or yogurt or things like that. So at times that fermentation can cause kind of an acidic environment, but no, not in nature. It's not acidic. If that's the type of milk we're referring to, like cow's milk as such. No.
Yes. तो हरिंदरजीत, ये एसिडिक नहीं होता है, बट कई बार खुद की बॉडी भी डाइजेस्ट नहीं कर पाती, या फिर अगर आप योगर्ट बना रहे हैं तो वो एसिडिक हो सकता है, वो कुछ लोगों को सूट नहीं कर सकता है, बट ओवरऑल उसका नेचर एसिडिक नहीं होता है। So there be another question: pregnancy, which supplements are required or recommended to women?
Yeah, no, definitely. So I suppose with our pregnant families, team members, we need to ensure that they are supplementing. So Neha will work through a supplementation training for you specifically around what is needed. But I think for absolutely everyone, there are gaps in our diet. No matter what, we need to be considering supplementation. I mean, an orange today is equivalent to, actually, no, 8 oranges today are equivalent to 1 orange from 1950 because of the vitamin A and vitamin C depletion in that orange alone. Then you consider everything else that is apparent. I mean, we've got magnesium and calcium deficiencies, as you saw from our RDIs, but that's apparent within our diets. Our soils are deficient in nitrogen and hydrogen and cobalt and chromium and calcium. So, you know, when the minerals aren't there, our fruit and vegetables aren't creating those vitamins. So consequently, our bodies are impacted. We don't have crop rotation and things like that that we're used to. So from a pregnant standpoint, even more so do we need to be supplementing. So speak to Neha or keep an eye on socials and she'll let you know when that training is.
Sure, Debbie. There is another question. Is arthritis and osteoporosis are related? What supplement will help in that problem?
Okay, so I think with any medical condition, always best to speak to your general practitioner or your health professional, your doctor, especially if it's a customer. If from your general understanding, arthritis is different. So there are a variety of forms of arthritis, like we've got rheumatoid arthritis, which is kind of calcification of joints. You've also got osteoarthritis. Osteoarthritis, you're right, is a version of the bones becoming porous, like in osteoporosis, but it's kind of generally created as a result of a lifestyle scenario. For instance, osteoporosis is a degenerative type scenario, whereas osteoarthritis as a result of excessive exercise or excessive lifestyle overuse scenarios type thing. But there are very common similarities, yeah.
Okay, so somebody's asking, okay, from which month of pregnancy? I think maybe the question is related to the previous one. From which month of pregnancy, I think supplements should be started?
Before, now, yesterday. I recommend supplements on an ongoing basis. When you are currently pregnant, though, sometimes it's worth discussing with your GP if supplements are recommended. But yeah, I don't think anyone shouldn't be supplementing. We need supplements to support the body and support our health.
Yeah. One more question. A female age 60 having thyroid with weak bones, if we take our supplements, can we prevent osteoporosis?
So, infant 60.
I think, is it visible to you, Debbie? The question?
Okay, I'll leave one with you, Neha. So we're not,
Yeah.
I know you want to talk, and I want to talk supplements as well, but in this training, because we're talking about medical scenarios, we shouldn't talk about USANA supplementation, because obviously supplements are, as they say, a supplement. They supplement the lifestyle, they supplement the diet, they supplement the body. They are not a cure or a prevent all for disease. And osteoporosis is a disease. So as much as supplements will support the body, we can't include that in this discussion. I'm so sorry.
Sure. So there are a lot of questions saying, do we really need doctors' permission for supplements? And doctors always recommend only food. They never suggest supplements.
And I mean, you're going to find that in every country. So you don't need a doctor's permission for supplements. Supplements are going to supplement your health. I think the only time it's worth discussing with your doctor is if you're concerned for interventions. You know, if you have some sort of symptom when you take your medication that a doctor has prescribed that could cause a reaction to a supplement you're taking as well. It's very rare, but in no time, shape, or form do I want anyone to think but it's also aspirin, you know, so all your supplements come from plants that they put through a process and create that supplement that you need for your body, those micronutrients, but so are your medicines, obviously through a whole medical chemically processed way of putting things, but they can interact. And at times that can have an impact on your body. So that's the only reason I would say speak to your doctor. If you're not on any medications, you don't need to speak to your doctor about taking supplements, because they're going to support you. They're going to support your health. But obviously follow the guidelines. When it comes to supplements, follow guidelines. That's what they're there for.
Yeah, I think we'll take the last question, Debbie. So the person is asking, if the person is not conceiving, what should that person, what should she take? Maybe in kind of food or something. Yeah, something.
I mean, that's probably a medical
Yeah.
question, definitely. But I think from a naturopathic viewpoint, I suppose I used to support people with that sort of scenario quite commonly. And there are definite lifestyle changes we can make to support our health. If you have stresses in your life that are impacting on your well-being, because you see, cortisol is definitely necessary. It gets us out of bed in the morning, but it is a stress hormone. It can elevate your blood pressure, it can elevate your cholesterol, it can cause elevated sugar levels in your blood, and then that indirectly leads to things like diabetes. That can impact on your body's ability to conceive. Plus, it can then have an impact, as we said, on bone health and on your kind of your well-being, your mental health. So we need to constantly look at our day-to-day. Holistic living means looking at your food, looking at your sleep, looking at your hydration, excluding processed preservatives, things like that, cooking from a holistic basis, growing your own, avoiding processed fast foods, things like that. There's so many things you can change to restore your health. Think about walking on a beach barefoot, or on green grass barefoot, because that encourages those negative ions to restore your cells. Encourage breathing, encourage posture, encourage kind of hot cold processes to ensure circulation. There's so much you can do, but if you're doing all of that, then speak to your doctor, because there might be something that fantastic.
Yeah, thank you so much, Debbie. I think we have shooted over time, but yeah, it was a wonderful session, and amazing session, very insightful. Thank you so much for this. Gunjan, would you like to say something? I think.
No worries at all. We have been over time, so it's been
Yeah,
fantastic.
definitely.
Well, thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
having me. Great to see you all, and yeah, more to come.
Thank
Future.
you. Thank you.
Take
Yes,
care,
thank you
everyone.
so much, Debbie. Good. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Take care. Take care, everyone. Bye.